For the first time in over 3 months, we're not doing anything else. We're just beaving. The fellas are back and ready to roll. We did have the pod with our entire panel for our March Madness show a couple of weeks ago, but it wasn't football related. And we haven't done anything related to Beaver Fest since before the championships this year. That's on us. Things got kind of hectic. We took a brief hiatus, and when we returned, it was mainly just going through the mock drafts, free agency, all that stuff. March, like I said, March Madness. But we're back. We have a show related to Beaver Fest, the best fantasy football league there is in the entire country, in the entire world. Andy, JP, Drew here with you. Kamish, I'll start with you. We're going to run through, just to give the fans an agenda for the show. We're running through every single team in the league, how things have changed in the last few months, and we get to introduce a new member to everyone.
Yeah, it's like you mentioned, it's been a while since we've been active here in terms of Beaverfest. So we're going to update everyone on just where the rosters are currently at, talk about a couple trades that have gone down, and then get to introduce our newest member, Gator. And so that'll be fun. So
Mr. Wade Worthington will be making an appearance on the podcast here this evening. Drew, the Beeve, how are you doing, man?
I am doing well, man. I got 11 more days of student teaching. You know what?
All right.
I'll be graduating May 10th. So who would have ever thought that? The Beeve graduating. Fuck, I didn't.
Well, I knew
But
you were going to
anyways,
graduate, Beeve.
I
Congratulations in
appreciate
advance.
it.
You said May 10th?
May 10th.
So we're recording here on April 9th, a month and a day for the Beeve until he joins other folk in the league with a college degree, including his two panelists here. And this is what we're doing with it now. So awesome, awesome, awesome. Without further ado, uh, without further ado, JP, let's go through the league. Where's everyone at? What's everyone's teams up to? We actually get to start with the Beeve squad. Drew, what you are looking with right now, and we'll talk about it with Wade. We'll give a little spoiler here. Wade's made a lot of trades since being brought in as the new member, the 14th member of Beaver Fest, and the trades that he made we'll kind of dive deeper into. But we're just looking at rosters, face value. Our rookie draft is a month and a half away. We will have content to some extent. A good amount of the league is going to be up in the northwest suburbs where about half of us reside. We're going to have the draft in person. So Beaver.fest on Instagram. Make sure to stay tuned there. We'll have a lot of fun stuff that weekend. But in the meantime, we get to break down the rosters pre-draft and with all these trades being made. And Drew, I've done enough talking. I'll let you have the floor here as we go through your roster.
Oh, yeah, I appreciate it, Yuck. Yeah, you can see I made a couple changes in this offseason. As you see, I got a new running back with Tyron Tracy. We'll see how that ends up. But my biggest thing I did this offseason was getting CD Lamb. Happy he's on my team. Some people say it was a drunk trade, but
Who did you make the deal with, Drew?
I made it with Mr. Crook
Yes.
about a
And
month ago, I think.
it is worth bringing up. No Glaze, obviously, but Cam did win the Beaver Fest March Madness bracket, so we do want to congratulate Cam on that. But
And
he now gave up CD to Drew.
but you know what makes me so mad about this trade is that he's the one that sent it to me. So, and after we were going back and forth for I don't know, a couple hours, then he claims that he misclicked and it was a whole blah blah blah. You know what I mean? Whatever.
Yeah.
But the one thing I'm concerned about my roster is, I got 105, and 101, which are looking good. Some good rookies, top heavy, as we know. I'm really concerned about Sam Laporta, just because, as our favorite person right now in the world, Ben Johnson's our head coach of the Chicago Bears. I don't know what's going to happen over in Detroit now. Dan Campbell, he's not really an offensive guy. Uh, so it worries me a lot for Sam Laporta coming in with a new OC. So that's what worries me right now. I don't know what you guys think about my team. AR, good fantasy guy, but I don't know if he's going to be able to stay on the field. If he'll be healthy, if Steichen will be able to keep him on the field. I just don't know if the role of Danny Dimes. That's a whole question mark for me. So I don't know what your guys' thoughts are.
Yeah,
yeah,
JP,
no,
what do you got here on Beef's
Danny
roster?
Danny Danny Jones is going to be the starting quarterback in Indy. I think, and me and Andy discussed it, I believe, on our free agency recap video. I full heartedly believe that. Yeah, you've put some voodoo magic on people and fleeced some trades here, and you've worked yourself up to a top three roster in the league. It's a little worrisome that Jatavian Sanders is in your starting lineup for now. It also concerns me a little bit that you're still rostering every Bears backup and Kenny Pickett. I can't believe Eric Gray's even rostered in our league. Same with Leonard Fournette. He's been out of the league for 2 years.
Bub
But
means.
yeah, like you mentioned,
Actually, you have a Bubba.
you got some picks at the top of the draft this year, so we'll see, Tet or Genty in a Beeve uniform. But yeah, you've worked yourself to a top 3 roster in the league by whether that's through honest means or not. You still have it anyway, so congrats on that.
So I want to
Um,
I want to hear your guys' opinion on this real quick. Sorry, before I
no, you're
cut
good,
you
bro.
off.
You're
Do you
good.
guys do you guys like Devonta Adams' new home, or are you a little worried because Stafford only throws to
It's
Puka?
better than where he was at the end of last season. So
I agree.
I think
I don't know if
you're
I
upgrading
don't know if
there.
I want to share these thoughts. I shared them in the Beaverfest free agency video, and so if you really want to know those thoughts, you should go check that video out. We posted it about a
Ooh.
month ago.
All right. Just trying to promote the other
Alrighty.
videos. I like that. But no, I'll keep it short on that. I think it can't get worse than how things ended for him. New York last year. Only thing I got, Beeve, like JP said, whether you've done it uh, in a proper form or not, you've worked yourself into one of the best rosters in the league. I'm looking forward to
Right.
hearing your phone call to Tet or Genty on draft night, Saturday, May 24th. Mark it in your calendars, folks. Beaver will be making a not real phone call, but a phone call. I'm going to force him to pretend to call one of these guys, and I want to hear how he would talk to them if he by selecting them to his team. So, yeah, not only do you got a good roster, man, your picks are great as well, and you have a chance to be a team to be reckoned with this year. One of our 3 champions here in Beaverfest history, actually 2 of them on the panel right now. So we'll look to see what more trades he'll make. We know more are in the works. Beav's always wanting a trade. So that is one thing that'll stay consistent. From one of our panel members to the next, our defending champion, Mr. McGuire, Mr. Kamish, your roster, and I'll give you the floor, let you break it down.
Yeah, I've made some deals here where now I'm starting Bateman at this exact moment in time. That's a little worrisome. When I dealt Cup to Mr. Dade Pitchford, thank you, Dade. I always love trading with you. I always have good trades, even though the league gives you a lot of crap. I appreciate you, but yeah, no, my starting lineup is still the best in the league. I don't think that's even a conversation at this point. And we're still waiting on guys to pop off like C-Mac and Marv. Bauer's the best tight end in the league. Kyler Murray's on the block, for those wondering. If you were curious, he came out today and said he needs to run more. So that's going to be exciting. That's going to be exciting. And then, like I mentioned, I have another starter on the bench here, and Daniel Jones in a new home. So he's also on the block for those interested. But yeah, no, I mean, I like where my team's at. I got some picks in the back half of the draft this year, picking the last pick in the first round, a lot of thirds and a fourth. So I'm feeling good with where we're at.
JP, the one thing I was gonna run by you is just your what's your confidence level in Marvin Harrison as he enters his sophomore year after having a rather up and down in terms from a fantasy standpoint rookie season with Kyler Murray under center in Arizona.
Yeah, it's to me it's more of a Drew Petzing thing. They're running a lot of routes that Marv didn't really succeed at Ohio State, and so then I'm not sure why it was a lot of that at the NFL level. It doesn't make much sense to me. You have one of the best route technicians in the league, and you're just gonna run him on a go every single play. Like, let's get the guy running some deep crossers, some posts, some corners. It was a struggle to watch a lot of Cardinals games, and even seeing Kyler Murray just kind of force the ball to the outside with Michael Wilson, or in that 7 to 9 yard range, Trey McBride stuff. It hurt, but my confidence hasn't wavered at all. I'm very, very hopeful for what's to come from those two.
Beeve, what do you got?
I got really nothing, just a good squad I'm looking at right here. My only question mark is C-Mac. I don't really know. I think he'll be just fine, but you never know. He's made of glass, so you just never know with him. But team's looking pretty good.
Yeah, and having a pick in the first round helps too. I know this draft will be interesting, and we'll talk a bit more about that once we know landing spots for guys for the NFL draft, which is 2 weeks from tomorrow out in Green Bay. So there you have the defending champs roster as things stand right now. We head to Mr. Tamilo Frank in the Colorado Buffaloes. I guess I'll start us off here. A lot of the same. Has Frank made a trade, JP, this offseason?
I don't think he's made a trade in a year.
Yeah. I mean, I've only made one
since the draft.
so it's not
He
that
hasn't made.
trades
I don't
are
think he's
always
made a trade since the last year's rookie draft.
okay. Yeah, I mean, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. When your team is as strong and as deep as Frank's, it's hard to find certain guys to move off of, and obviously with Frank's trade history in the league of fleecing some guys, doesn't always have the best relationships with guys when it comes to making trades as well. Quarterback room is as strong as can be with Mahomes. Bo Nix had a great rookie season. I think you're looking at C.J. Stroud as a hopeful bounce back candidate, looking to see what he can do entering his third season in Houston. Trey McBride, now the highest paid tight end in NFL history. That new contract in Arizona. Dalton Kincaid as well. Not super great this past year at Buffalo. Was expecting a bit more from him. And on his bench as well that JP has up right now, the running back depth will always be something with Frank's squad. Stevenson, looking for more out of him. A new coaching staff in New England. Josh McDaniels back as their offensive coordinator. Kenneth Walker, Isaiah Pacheco wasn't at full health this season ago. So, guys, I mean, I'm just looking at the tight ends, quarterbacks, running backs, and you were down at Frank's picks as well, JP. Where is he picking this year? So he's got 2 2s and a 3. Pretty similar to a lot of other guys in the draft this year. I'll start off with you, JP. Your overall thoughts. I mean, we've talked about this exact roster for Frank many times before, but now that we know new situations coaching wise, new personnel for certain players around them, how it overall shapes up here at the beginning of April.
Yeah, I think one of the best problems you can have in the offseason is a great bench. And Frank, for sure, is one of the few contenders who has great pieces on his bench. I mean, every single week he's got a bench, Pacheco, Walker, or Stevenson, some or Gibbs or Charbonnet, whichever he chooses, but they're going to be on the bench. 2 out of the 5 that I just named are minimum going to be on the bench. So he's got a good problem in the offseason with having a bunch of great players. It becomes a problem in the regular season, when you're having to pick who to start and you miss and you airball and you're losing because of that. But it's a good problem to have in the offseason. And like you mentioned, I mean, he's got Stroud, Mahomes, and Bo Nix, which, again, a great problem to have. He could move up to 101 right now if he wanted in the blink of an eye, and it probably wouldn't really put a dent in his team.
Steve, as the man who holds the 101, what do you like when you're eyeing up Frank's roster here?
Well, I'll take him on Ron, Neighbors, and Mahomes and Stroud, and maybe I'll give him a third.
306. That is a really enticing pick in the draft this year.
No, 101's open for the right price, but I think I'm gonna hold on to it. You'll just never know. I guess we'll have to find out on draft night. But no, for Frank's team, the same thing. I like Neighbors. It'll be interesting how him and Russ connect. If they'll draft a quarterback in this draft, I don't think they will. I think they'll pass on that and get a better asset.
Yeah.
But other than that, I like his team. I like too that he has Charbonnet, Charbonnet, whatever, and Walker as well. To compare them, I don't know. It's a good running back too.
That's
So
a
I
good
like it.
handcuff to have. I think it's probably
It
the
is.
best one in fantasy football, in my opinion, in terms of not only having the starter and the backup, but the quality of the two guys. We saw it last year. Kenneth Walker's out due to injury. Zach Charbonnet has a 37, 40-point game. I forgot who that was against. That may have been against you in the playoffs, Steve, where Charbonnet was really playing well. So I think Seattle's
Yeah.
got one of those running back rooms where if one guy is out, nothing really changes. Nothing really skips a beat. So I don't know if we have anything else here to add to Frank's squad, guys, or if we can get moving on to Love Wins, a rebranding for Mr. Cam Boyer. And as we look at his team, Drew, I want to have you start us off here. Some trades have been made for Mr. Boyer this offseason. He's got Tyreek Hill now, which is no longer a good thing. Some stuff in the news about Mr. Hill today that could run into some issues. And I do want to say as well, guys, before I pass the baton to Drew, I don't love holding receiver tandems on the same roster normally, but he's got Hill and Waddle. I don't know what your guys' thoughts are, Beav. I'll start with you.
No, yeah, I was just about to say something about that. I don't like that at all. You just never know with that Miami offense. You never know who's going to get the rock. We saw it last year. We saw Tyreek have 5-point weeks, 3-point weeks, then he have a 12-point week. You never know. Same thing with Waddle. I mean, that Miami offense has not looked great last year. I know Tua was hurt for a little bit, banged up, but same with Waddle. Waddle didn't really look that great either last year. I think he has games where he was mainly all year was in single digits, I believe. I could be wrong, but you see too, he's got Debo as well now. We'll see how he does with Jaden Daniels in Washington. It'll be uh, it'll be interesting what they scheme with him over there. If he'll have a role like at in San Fran, or if he'll just be a strictly slot guy in Washington. So it'll be interesting. But I do like for Cam, his running backs are very strong. I think he has a top 3 running back core in the league, I'd say. But Other than that, I'd just be worried about his tight end situation, or not tight end, receiver situation. Smith's good, but Tyreek and Waddle, that's looking a little shaky after what happened today.
Yeah, JP, if we want to scroll down as well, I know we got the running backs of Williams and Mixon. That's a good it's a good duo to have, but it's always about the depth, guys. I think we've learned that more than any other time. And as we look at uh Cam's bench, does have Isaac Orendo, but that's, you're hoping for a McCaffrey injury. Chris Rodriguez was fun at the end of the year last year. Christian Kirk, I like him in a new setting in Houston. JP, what do you see when you look at Boyer's roster?
Yeah, I see a very, 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 very solid team. This team's not winning a championship. Tyreek just beat his wife again, and so he's probably cooked. Jalen Waddle, like Drew mentioned, I kind of see regression coming for the Dolphins, and I don't blame McDaniel. I don't blame Tua. I blame their GM, which I just had his name 2 seconds ago in my head, and now I can't remember it. It is Yes, Chris Greer.
Chris Greer, yeah.
I'm beyond confused how he even has a job anymore. He has absolutely torn that team apart. You have a premier head coach in the league and you completely waste it. Still hopeful for Kyron Williams. Obviously, a golf regression is coming. Mixon can't stay young forever. I'm beyond confused on the direction that he's going, but he still has a roster to make the playoffs. So that's my 2 cents.
I do want to add this real quick too. Do we think Christian Kirk can bounce back in Houston?
Yes. It's a much better situation than what he was in before.
I do like that, and I do think Travis Etienne is going to turn around this season if he stays healthy. Those are my thoughts.
I think both valid points, Beef. And having Juju back in Kansas City as well, we'll see what that comes out of it. The weapons room for Mahomes is always interesting. So, but no, I agree with JP's take. Good team, playoff team. As we look ahead, we have Bigsby's Bandits. Clayton Bigsby, one of the more well-recognized managers in this league. Or I should say general managers. We have Luke Hundley as the manager of this team. Guys, Luke's been making some moves too. A little bit of a shakeup here in the starting lineup. But when we look at things as a whole, JP, it's still Josh Allen. It's still Bijan Robinson. No more Breece Hall. You and I on every episode last year, it was always the three-headed monster of Allen, Breece Hall, Bijan Robinson. We will not have to talk about that three-headed monster this year with Breece Hall moving on to greener pastures, if we're throwing a farming reference in there for Luke. But looking at his roster as a whole, he's got Hawkinson, obviously, and he has Brian Robinson as well. Luke made a big deal about bringing Brian Robinson back. It was a welcome back. It's a homecoming for Brian Robinson this year. And obviously, Jerry Jeudy, the deal with Stephon Diggs last year. Jeudy having a big end of the season last year. JP, has Luke improved his roster through the offseason up to this point as we are less than 2 months out from our rookie draft?
Yes, he has drastically improved his roster, and I'm a little nervous for the upcoming season to have to face Luke and when I do end up having to play him. I would say that this is probably the second best team in the South, if not the best. I mean, just purely based off the starting lineup. I love Lad. It really is all dependent on what you can get out of Jamison Williams and if Jerry Jeudy picks up where he left off. If we're getting the Jeudy that, finished out last season as the wide receiver 10 or whatever crazy number he was. Let me fact check that. That was probably way off. Okay, 12. Actually, it wasn't way off.
Hey.
If you get the Jeudy that finished as a number one wide receiver, you're sitting in a damn good place. Then if you get Jamison Williams, who's probably sitting as a wide receiver 2 or 3, I know he missed some games, then you're sitting in a damn good place. Now, if you don't, that's a little questionable. He also just made a trade with Wade, which we'll cover a little later on, for Kirk Cousins. And if Kirk gets a starting job, then I would solidify that as a top 2 team in the South for now.
I want to shout out Tanner McKee for holding a roster spot in our league. I did not realize he was on any team. He's on Luke's bench as well. Drew, if we got a couple of minutes here for your just overall reflection on what Luke's got so far.
No, I do agree he's improved his team a lot. I believe he's got 113 this upcoming draft, correct? Or is that not true? I think he's at 113 anyways. My biggest concern with this starting roster is the production from Jameson Williams. It's kind of like a Debo rule. You don't know what you're going to get. You might get 25 points from him, or you might get 5 points. You just never know with him.
It would be the 112, Drew. He holds the 112 and the 209.
112.
He only owns 4 picks in general right now. He owns the 112 and the 209 this year. He owns Cam Boyer's first next year and his own second in 2027. So I think if we're looking at a dynasty and a fantasy, obviously fantasy, but a dynasty perspective with Luke, Not owning any draft picks is certainly a choice, but we've also learned that draft picks are draft picks until you can actually prove something with them. So they're becoming, in my eyes, less and less valuable unless they're at the top. They're more or less dart throws. So, but yeah, what he's got on paper, like JP said, a top 2 team in the South. I don't know why he didn't make the playoffs last year, did he? I can't believe I already forgot
No, he
last
didn't.
year's playoff picture. No, I'm
No.
hoping with how things shake out, as long as guys stay healthy and perform the way they should, that should change
He's got to
this
be
year.
he's got to be happy too that DK's in Pitt now, and that probably opens up a little more room for Pickens.
It
A
should,
little more value over there. So
yeah, most
so,
definitely. So,
so.
we'll move on here to the Typhoons. Mr. Ty
Oh
McCain
my
has
goodness.
got some empty spots in his starting lineup. As we look through, Sam Darnold in a new place out in Seattle. JP and I talked about that in the free agent video. His receiving core is a receiving core with Quentin Johnston, Khalil Shakir, Darnell Mooney, Jacoby Myers. He's missing a starting running back and a starting tight end. JP, what has he got on his bench? Or that he doesn't have rostered at least. Or he's got Penix in the super flex.
Holy hell, this seems horrible. Sorry, Ty. Jesus. You have no running backs, bro.
Hey, bro,
Who's
he's
he-
got Ty J.
who's
He's
he
got
gonna
Cody
start?
Gibson.
He's got Ty J. Spears or
Oh,
whatever.
Jesus.
He's got 3 empty spots in the starting
He's got
lineup.
3 empty spots for Nick
Where-
Westbrook-Kine.
De'Ami Brown.
Where
I guess
is
he's got 3 first, so those are all
where-
going to get plugged in.
Does he have
where's,
3 in a row? Am I reading that right? Does he have 3
Yeah,
first
yeah,
round
8,
picks in a
9,
row?
10.
That is going to be
Where's,
awesome when
is
the
Khalil
draft
Herbert
comes
in Indianapolis? Is that where he's at?
out. He is.
That's what I thought. So he's behind Taylor.
Or
yeah. Yeah.
Taylor and potentially more. Ty, I really hope you're coming to the draft because I would love to see you walk up and down to the podium 3 straight times to make 3 different draft picks. I think that'd be hilarious. And it will be a good time. But yeah, I guess the 3 empty slots with 3 first round picks or something, fellas, I don't really know, other than the few guys we were given here in the starting lineup, what we have to really reflect on with Ty. He sold off his team pretty early on in the season last year, and this is kind of where he's situated right now. I don't really have much to say. Just like I talked about, JP and I mentioned Sam Darnold in the free agent video. That's really the only change of scenery guy he has in his starting lineup to reflect on. So I don't know if you guys have anything to add on to that.
When did he get Darnell Mooney? That's what I'm trying to. I don't remember that.
That was in the trade, I believe, when Luke got.
Did he get Ladd? No, that wasn't a Ladd
potentially.
trade.
Yeah, I think it was. Actually, I don't know.
Oh.
Maybe in the pitch try. I don't really know.
Who's his tight end also? Like if he had the star tight end right now.
Chigakonkwo, Noah Gray,
Tyler Conklin.
Oh, jeez.
3 fine players in the National Football League.
Jeez.
Hey, it'll all change the draft. Everything will change then. As we go to Monaco Gentle, sir, with Jack, guy who does have all his starting roster spots filled out, and a guy in Chase Brown out of Cincinnati who was baller last season, had a fantastic year. Drake May entering his 2nd season in the league, still has his 3 receivers as Shaheed, Evans, and Hopkins. Mark Andrews a pretty brutal fantasy year in the regular season, and he unfortunately was part of the reason, if not a major part of the reason, why Baltimore was eliminated from the playoffs this past year as well. Jalen Tolbert had a nice extra season in the books in a Cowboy uniform, and you got a guy in Jonathan Taylor who, from what I remember when we reviewed things, was very up and down last year. The super flex, we do have Beaver Fest follower Jalen Coker. Shout out to you, Jalen Coker. Thank you for the support that you've given us in this league. And Jack is rewarding you with a spot in his starting lineup here in April. As we look to his bench and what he's got shaped up there, Trevor Lawrence, I assume he would actually be in the starting lineup. Is that, dude, you're going to kill me. The name of the Detroit running back. What's that guy's
Sione
Vaki.
Yeah.
Something like that. Nick Chubb, who is still a free agent, hasn't signed anyone yet. I think, JP, that'll be an interesting point for Jack's team, obviously, when he picks a place, because he's relied on Chubb so much when healthy these last few years.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I know that there are some suitors right now. I keep seeing the Raiders. If they don't end up taking Ginty, that Chubb to the Raiders could be a possibility. It also wouldn't shock me if no one picks him up until a playoff run and he's just completely wiped out of the fantasy season. It's really funny because I know even during injuries, there were great offers for Chubb on the table, and none of them were accepted. Jack could have walked out of there with a fleece. Speaking from experience and through the words of others. But yeah, but this team has just picked up a huge boost with Brenton Strange,
Yeah.
who went off when Evan Ingram was injured in Jacksonville, and now that he is out of Jacksonville, you're getting a potential tight end one. I mean, I'm just going to take a look at his game log here. I mean, he had some really good weeks, 13,
26.
26, 14, 15. And these bad weeks were just a product of the offense. I'm sure if we went and looked at some of these scores, they weren't very high. And so there were some bad weeks under Doug Peterson, but picking up a great asset there with Brent Strange, and then picking at 201 here, that's a good spot to be. Still can get a top player in the draft. So
Beav, I know you've had some choice words for Jack in his refusing to trade, especially this past season on this podcast. Your thoughts on what he's rolling with right now as we sit
Yeah,
in April?
yeah, and I might be a total dick for saying this, and excuse my language, but JP, now that I'm thinking about it, I think he loses 201.
Was that the pick from not setting the lineup 2 weeks?
oh yeah,
Oh no.
Yeah. Sorry, Jack.
Dang. Would have
Don't mean to
gotten
do that to
would have
you.
gotten away with it too if it wasn't for the beef.
Sorry, man. I got a pick in the second round now, so sorry, man.
Yeah, and for Beef, as someone who had his pick taken away, his one of his seconds taken away last year, I
So
don't.
I'm
You're
pretty
not gonna
much
let that
on
one
that
go
now.
through.
No,
Yeah,
I'm not. So, but if you scroll back up, I'll give a little brief on his team. Damn, I didn't know Jacoby Brissett was in Arizona. But anyways, I'm a little concerned for Jack. After he told me this weekend Mark Andrews is worth a first still, so I kind of gave him the side eye there.
can I
But
ask you what
yeah,
time he told you that at? Was
about
it late in the evening or was it
8 o'clock.
okay? So he was in a
So,
full functioning state of mind. Okay.
yep. So, you know, props to him if he thinks that, then that's fine. But I'm looking at this team. It's very not his running backs, but his receiving core very old. Rashid, he's not old, but I don't really count him as an asset. I don't know what that New Orleans offense. I don't know. I don't know what Kellen Moore will do over there. I don't know if they'll be. I just don't know. I don't know.
I guess
But
it'd be the same thing he did in probably Dallas and Los Angeles and Philly. He'll probably call offensive plays if I had to guess.
sure, yeah. But D Hop at Baltimore, that worries me a little bit. I don't like that situation for him. And Jalen Tolbert, starting him at the flex, that's just not.
He was better
Uh,
last year.
yeah, that's not a really safe flex play. I'm just gonna say that. So, but I'm rooting for you, Jack. Sorry I called you out. Just business is business, man.
Beeves in the business of looking out for himself and his league mates. JP, you got anything before we move on to Mr. Zapparo's squad?
No, no, I'm actually gonna go reach out to Jack and see if I can make a trade for 201 now.
Yeah, you might as well, right? As the Hundley Farms rebrand for Jake's team. And guys, another squad who uh, hasn't made a whole lot of changes necessarily, other than bringing in James Cook. And this is still JP as we look at it, another one of the top squads in the league.
Yeah, I mean, this was the other team when I was talking about Frankie's team where it's nice to have some pieces on the bench. You got Roma Dunze down there and Michael Pittman all on the bench. While we're not so sure what Rashad White is going to be, I still imagine they'll use some kind of committee over there in Tampa with the new OC, who I have no idea who it is. I know it's the guy from the Rams, I believe was their tight end coach. That could be an air ball. But yeah, but another one of the top starting lineups in the league. Not sure what to think of T. Higgins yet, and quite frankly, not sure what to think of Bucky Irving. I also hate Brock Purdy for fantasy purposes, but he still is a 49er in a Shanahan offense, so that should be all right. Jaden Daniels regression season incoming, so that should tell you what you need to know about that.
Beaver, another squad. I keep saying the word squad, another team with Zip. He's got Jaden Daniels coming off that incredible rookie year, like JP had mentioned. It was just talking about San Fran guys he has rostered. Well, what's one area of Jake's team that you like, and maybe one area that you don't like?
Yeah, sorry if I'm being a distraction. I hope the media likes us. I'm eating some tacos my girlfriend made me, so shout
You're
out to
all good,
her.
Drew. You're good.
Um, no, I like as we'll mention, like JP said, we're bringing our new member on. James Cook, new addition to Jake's team, I love it. Running backs are hitting strong. I don't really have a problem with Jake's team at all. I love it. Funny enough, you look at his team, you're like, how has he not made the playoffs in the last 2 years?
When the not in the history of
And
the league, Drew. All
oh
three
yeah, in the
years.
history, yeah, it's just crazy. I can't even. I'm looking at this team like, how does this team not make the playoffs? It's just shocking. But that's fantasy. You just never know what's gonna happen. So, but yeah, I
Yeah.
like Jake's team. I'm excited for him.
Had the best player in all of fantasy football last year in Saquon Barkley. We'll see if he repeats that again in 2025. We got my squad here. I've made one
We
trade.
got Andy's team here, the
Yeah.
IR, coached by
Yeah.
Marty Daniels,
Yeah.
managed by Andy. Andy, why don't we let you talk about your team?
All right. I love it. We've only made one trade. That's bringing in Devonta Smith. It's a guy I've been trying to get for a long time. Happy we're able to get that deal off and bring him aboard. The whole Puka Nacua talk about him not want to play football beyond 30 doesn't matter right now because he's only 23, 24. A little nervous about Alvin Kamara this year. Had a really good year, but he's aging, so I'm hoping that's not like his last, his last really good season. There's enough to be said about Devon A-Chain. Guy's a stud. Guy's going to go out and do his thing every week. Joe Burrow was playing MVP caliber football last year. I know I have a free agent in my starting lineup in Keenan Allen. As we scroll down, he is just kind of there right now. I didn't think to set my lineup before this, but I'm hoping Hollywood Brown has a healthy season and can be in the fold because Kansas City offense is going to be a part of. Calvin Ridley as well. The quarterback situation should be different in Tennessee. If you've watched our latest mock draft, we have Cam Ward going to the Titans at 1, so that can impact things as well. He's a good player. I think as long as he's got someone consistent throwing him the football, good things will happen. Love having Justin Herbert. As always, thank you, Ty. It's a fantastic trade we made over the summer last year. And I try to pride myself on depth. Talked about how important that is throughout the league with having Russell Wilson as a third quarterback option on this squad. And, other guys, I do have Taylor Heineke rostered again, so it's good to have some handcuffs there with Herbert. I don't know why Hendon Hooker is still on my team, if I'm being completely honest, along with Jeremy McNichols. But I'm hoping Javonte Williams can play well in his new situation. That Dallas backfield is going to be so tough to manage in the beginning, so he's not going to earn a spot in the starting lineup. And then when you look at my receivers on the bench as well, Xavier Legette is a guy I am holding very high hopes for this year. And as well, David Njoku should probably be in the starting lineup. But Legette is a guy I am very high on. Carolina seems to be confident they can make him the top receiver. And in that Smith trade, if you look at my picks, I only hold 2 picks in the draft now, the 208 and the 401. So happy about my squad. Hasn't been a whole lot of moves to be made yet, relying on a lot of guys to grow. I have a lot of vets on the bench that probably shouldn't be on the team, but we'll address that more when we get to the draft. See if I can acquire some more picks based on where guys are at, and we'll go from there. So that's kind of my little reflection on my team so far, the IR, to get back to the title game this season. We got 4 more teams to run through and not a lot of time to run through them, so we'll make this quick. JP, why don't we break down Matt's team here in the Manziel Mafia?
Yeah, when I was talking about top 2 teams in the South, this was the other team I was potentially referring to. Although my head hurts a little bit, it looks a little worse than I thought it did. This team may not be as good as I thought. Actually, let me rephrase that. This team is definitely not as good as I thought. So I take back my previous statement. Luke is my pick to win the South right now. I like that roster the most. But Matt's actually not in a bad spot either, considering he was an expansion team less than a year ago, came in with a bunch of bumps. And here we are now. He's got some good pieces, and he picks at 13 in the draft with 2 young quarterbacks. Not a bad spot to be.
Yeah, well said. We're rapid firing this because we had some talks and some rants in the beginning. So that's we're just gonna have JP do Matt's squad. That's all good. Guys, we can kind of collectively look at Dade's team here as he's next on our recaps and reviews.
Sorry.
Oh, you're good. Old moves. He's made some moves, guys. We got Jalen Hurts, we got David Montgomery, Stephon Diggs, Cooper Kupp. It looks more of a complete team. JV brought this up in the chat the other day. Dade has not won a fantasy game since November of 2023, a full year before the most recent presidential election. So Dade's looking to win his first game in over a year. Did not win one this past year. Guys, like I said, Beav kick it to you for a minute, but Dade's actually got a complete looking starting lineup.
I'm telling you right now, and you guys be like, whoa. Dade's team is not the worst team in this league. Mark my words, he will not be the worst team in this league, and he is not the worst team in the league right now.
So then who is?
I'd say Ty McCain.
Even with Ty's 3 first, you still think at day one that the team starting Alexander Madison and Keishon Boutte are not the worst team in the league. And wide receiver 3 Jalen McMillan.
I thought he's got some second rounders.
What does his bench look like, real quick? We only got a couple.
He doesn't.
He has a 104 and then nothing.
Yeah.
What does his bench look like?
Tommy Tremble.
Tommy Tremble.
Olamide Zacchaeus.
Right.
Jalen Polk, who I don't even think saw the view.
I'm just trying
and he has Jonathan Brooks, who's going to have to medically retire.
Yeah, God dang it, Dade. I'm just trying to give you hope, man. I'm just trying to give you hope. I'm taking everything. Gosh, I thought you had a second round, dude. Gosh darn, this team is so bad.
It's not that bad, guys.
No,
compared to last year's roster, way better.
No, I mean, this team is going nowhere. He doesn't have his first next year. I mean, what are you doing, man? Like, I mean, you're just basically paying $50 to a charity at this point. We're basically a charity you're paying to. We're the Beaver Fest charity. You're giving us $50 a year for it. And I got a foot cramp. God,
speaking of charity, from one charitable case to another, according to JP, after JP was not thrilled that Cam Kruk won our bracket challenge. JP, for a guy who you think is donating to the league, he does have Jamar Chase now.
Yeah, it's actually not a terrible squad. It's just not winning a championship. When you have Marvin Mims, Drew's favorite player, in your starting lineup, you're probably cooked. I know Cam is one of the guys in the league who gets emotionally attached to his players, and Wan'Dale Robinson and the Muth are two of those guys. He just refuses to give them up, and they are not starter quality. But DJ Moore and Jamar Chase will at least make his games fun.
Yeah, shout out Cam. I think he started 3-1 last year and then lost his final 10 games.
Yep.
If memory serves correct. But no, he's been fantastic. Good to have him in the league. And we'll round things out with the final expansion member that we added last year in Brady. Looking at his squad, guys. Drew, I'll let you handle this one. Making some moves as well, but it's looking likely that he'll stay toward the bottom of the league again here this season.
Yeah, is Dave's team better than this team?
Nope. Next question. This team's better. Brady also owns 102 and 106 and 202 and 210, which as we found out,
capital for him.
202 is now the 201, unless that pick gets dealt. But Rashee Rice, Dak Prescott, actually, okay, maybe Dade's team is better, but I just like the draft capital. You're automatically bringing in Genti or Tet, and that instantly would be the best player between both those guys' teams.
All right, there you have it. Quick little recap on all our squads. Some recaps longer than others. That's okay. But it is time now for our Beavin guest, the newest member of the Beaver Fest League, Wade Worthington, coming your way right now here on the Just Beavin podcast. It's been a minute since we've had a Beavin guest, but when you get a new member in the league, you got to make it happen. Mr. Wade Worthington, known as Gator, here with us. Drew, we are going to give you the floor right now. You're going to have Wade introduce himself to all the listeners and to his fellow league mates who we've all had plenty of text conversations with Wade. He's been very active on the trade market, but I get to kind of peel back the curtain a bit. So Drew, the floor is yours.
Going on, Wade. So I want you to introduce to us, what do you like doing for a living and where do you live and what are you doing right now?
What's up, guys? It's a pleasure to be a part of the special thing we got going on called the Beaver Fest. I'm originally from Evansville, Indiana. I played golf at John A. Logan Junior College down in Southern Illinois, which is where I got to know J.P. McGuire. Big Carbondale guys, so that's how I got to know JP, and now I play golf at University of Southern Indiana, and I'm gonna probably work in golf after that.
Nice. What are you studying over in Southern Indiana?
We'll call it business. We'll call it the JUCO kid transferred, and he wanted to graduate fast degree. We'll call it that.
Hey, fair enough. Nothing wrong with that. So I hear you're a big Steelers fan. Why are you a Steelers fan?
I'm straight off pops. It goes Steelers, Knicks, Georgetown basketball, Michigan football, and Cardinals baseball.
So we got another Jack Bauer on our hands.
Yep, all over the place. No local teams except the Cardinals. Just pure mediocrity.
You got some fellow Cardinal fans in the league as well, but I'm sure I know you might know with the Beav, but you're dealing with a couple of Cubs fans on this panel as well. So Baseball season's always interesting in Beaverfest. Me and Drew talk a lot of Cubs. Half the league doesn't really care about baseball, and we got a mixed bag of guys. And also as well, Wade, with your golfing background, I think we've told most people. I don't know. I guess we could break it on the show, JP, but tentatively, I doubt this will happen. But we want to try and get on the day of the draft, and everyone's here. We want to get a little golf outing going. I don't know if that's actually going to come to fruition, but that was an idea floated around in the circles. We'll see. We do know. I don't know how many guys in the league, JP. Everyone, most of the guys golf to an extent, but I do know there's some guys who have never really touched a golf club before. So we'll talk about that. We got some time. We got about a month or so. But I think unless you got anything to add, Commish, before we get to the sleeper side of things.
No, happy to have you on here, Wade, and let's get to talking to some of those trades.
Yeah, we got something to go through, most definitely. You've made a couple with the Beav himself. You and I have made a trade as well, Wade, and we'll have JP just walk you down the line of the moves that you've made. He's got them pinned on his screen here. You want to start at the bottom of the list, JP, or are we working up to the top?
We're going to start at the first trade he made when he got into the league. I believe this was the first trade made in which he shipped off Jamar Chase, Najee Harris, and Drew's favorite player for Devontae Smith, James Cook, and a boatload of picks. So Wade, just kind of walk us through, what you were thinking when you first saw Jamar Chase. Were you always planning on shipping him out, or how'd that go?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I saw a absolute dumpster fire when I took over. Kind of threw up in my mouth. Saw 1 star, knew it needed to make a change. You can't win with that. Can't win with Jamar Chase and everything I had around it. So I decided I'm also a Steelers fan, so I hate cheering for Jamar Chase. Made an executive decision to ship him off. Figured I needed a tight end. I have no tight end. Najee Harris, I think he's going to have a good year in LA. That was tough to get rid of him. But, the first, second, third round pick, I think it was kind of a deal breaker for me.
Yeah. I didn't hate the deal. I know there were some that were completely outraged with it. Now whether that was bias outrage or actual outrage, I guess we'll never really know. But yeah, no, I actually didn't hate that trade. I know James Cook and Devontae Smith were both former players of Drew's team. Drew, anything to say on this trade? I know you had something to say in our other group chat.
Not really. I just didn't really make a whole lot of sense. And I guess it's okay. I know I had Devontae Smith on my team last year, but after watching that whole debacle of him and AJ Brown, Jalen Hurts, I just don't really have that much confidence in Devontae Smith anymore. But I love me some James Cook, but that's about it.
JP, I think it also too probably part of it could have been because of the man that Wade traded with in terms of the outrage from the rest of the league. Do you think that there's any truth behind that?
Yeah, and then when you couple it with the first trade Wade made was also a Jamar Chase trade, I feel really bad for Brady because like all new members have had, we had to redact the trade because it was just too one-sided. So we had to go ahead and fix that. But yeah, no, I didn't think this was a bad trade. I'm sure trading with Cam Crook didn't help much, but
Yeah, that always gets into a part of it as well. As we move on to our next trade.
yeah, Wade, just a little trade here for Matt Stafford, which I believe you just shipped off Matt Stafford for less than you gave up, but we can cover that later.
No, absolutely not. So, yeah, I got Matt Stafford in a third here. I'm a Steelers fan, obviously. So, Jalen Warren, he's not the guy. I'm going to tell you guys right now. He's not the guy. He's not a 3-down back. He's injury prone. He's going to get hurt. He gets hurt off 15 snaps. He's going to get hurt off 40. Not the guy. I handed a quarterback, and I added a pick. So, that's the way I looked at that one right there.
Yeah, I didn't hate this one. I remember last time I saw you, we talked about how we both don't like Jalen Warren and we don't think he's good. So I didn't have anything to say about this. I know
he's a good player to have in his role that he was, but past that, he's fragile.
Yeah, I think that's well put. Not a big needle mover there, but this one had some big pieces in it. You gave up Tyreek, Juju, 2 seconds and a fourth for Cousins, who's now gone, Tracy, who's also now gone, and Chris Olave. So why don't you walk us through this one?
This one I liked at first. Kind of doubled back a little bit. Realized I might have given a little too much. Still needed a quarterback. So I got Kirk there. Felt like I was kind of giving up maybe a second for that. I'm a big Tyrone Tracy believer. So I really like getting Tyrone Tracy, and then I hate Tyreek Hill. I think he's old. No, I'm in a dynasty league. I felt like a lot of my players were old that were somewhat good. So I don't know. I like Chris Olave as long as he doesn't get a brain tumor in the next year or two. So, you know, that was a trade. I give that one a C plus.
And you didn't have to give up much capital too, along with Hill. And now we've talked about it earlier in the episode, but he's now into some more legal trouble. So a couple of seconds as well. I mean, yeah, I will say in that regard, it's not terrible. And like JP said, though, obviously with the amount of moves that have come here in the last week plus from you, obviously certain guys that you acquired 8-9 days ago aren't going to be with your roster anymore. But still, it's one of those where moving off Tyreek Hill in his situation, it's just tough. We talked about this earlier on the episode as well, because Cam Boyer now has Hill and Waddle both in his lineup, both on his team. If Tua's not playing, those guys are pretty defective. Like, it's not one of those where, and that could partially be based on who Miami also has in the quarterback room behind Tua. They now have Zach Wilson. Not saying that's much better, but I think part of it as well is you're giving a guy in Olave where, for the most part, I mean, he had his down weeks this past year. He's younger. You talk about it being a dynasty league, you grow with him a bit more. I'm sure that was a part of your vision as well.
Yeah, and to double back on that, I also have Tua as my QB1, so it's kind of
Yeah.
If Tua were to get hurt again, then it's like you said, Tyreek Hill is not even a top 15 receiver in the league anymore, and then I got a guy on IR. So
Yeah, and Juju's pretty much a nothing burger with just how many
yeah,
mouths
yeah,
are to feed that Chiefs offense. So
yeah.
I
I
get
think I
the
would have dropped him from my roster if I didn't throw him in that trade.
Beav. What do you got here before you move to the next deal?
I got really much about it. Just Chris Olave, I'm still a believer of him. I like him a lot. So just that New Orleans team just a mess. So see if Kellen Moore can figure it out.
And we'll see as well based on the future of the quarterback positioning there with the Saints. Got more quarterback movement here. I really want to talk about this one, Wade, moving off Prescott. But you did get a first for him. First next year in this deal with Brady. I'm sure that had to have been a big difference maker as well. But you now talked about it with your quarterback situation being the way it is with Tua. Sure, though, obviously you pulling the trigger on this deal, you had to have some sort of confidence in terms of what you were getting draft capital-wise and what you have on the roster right now at the quarterback position.
Yeah. So I mean, here I really liked the 3-2 was kind of the deal breaker there. I think we kind of went back and forth there. The 3-2 just felt too much like a second round pick to not go. Basically felt like I was getting Browning for nothing, and I like Browning in the backup spot behind Joe Burrow, but you basically flip fourth rounders, and I get basically a second rounder and a first for Dak. I thought,
Yeah.
why not?
No, and honestly, we were talking about picks. Obviously, this is going to be your first rookie draft with us, but we're all going to be rookie drafting a bit different. This is everyone's first experience drafting in the rookie draft with 14 teams. Last year, we still had 12 teams when we were doing this rookie draft. So, JP, in a way, we're kind of all in the same boat with Wade here next month. Obviously, we've done rookie drafts before as a league, but in terms of the pick value, we're all kind of starting at the same base level here.
Yeah, no, it'll be, I think, a lot more of a clusterfuck than it normally is. Everyone's going to be in each other's ear. There's going to be, drinks being drank and all that. And so I think it'll be a lot harder to focus. It'll really test people's characters and how much time they put in when we get to those later rounds. And while we're on that topic, I know Wade owns half the third and fourth, so that'll really be interesting.
You're going to have to do your homework, Wade.
Oh yeah, third and fourth are going to be some sleepers.
Be a good
lot of
round.
Michigan Wolverines. A lot of Michigan Wolverines will be drafted.
As we look here, you and the Beeve. Drew, we're just going to let you two talk about this deal. We're going to start with Wade, with him being our guest. Wade, you getting Jordan Addison and a second, giving up Tracy and a first. This one, and I want you to speak first because I want you to defend yourself here. You caught a lot of heat from the league for making this deal.
I did. I did some more at the beginning. Like I said, I had been a big Tyrone Tracy believer, and I had kind of done some research, and I don't think the Giants are big believers in Tyrone Tracy. So This one, I'm a huge Jordan Addison guy. Probably gave up a little more than I should. Saw, I figured a pick thrown in there, Jordan Addison. I was lacking receiver room. I went ahead and pulled the trigger here.
Beaver, you came out of this
Yeah,
with a new running back and a first round pick.
yeah, I'm a little scared of Tyron Tracy, but the first draw to my attention really. I don't really know what Tyron Tracy floor holds. New York's kind of a mess too. I don't. The Boer's on the hot seat, so he's really got to turn around there if he wants to keep his job. So, but like Wade said, I don't really know what to expect from Tyron Tracy. Is he going to be the RB1, or is he going to be like a Braylon Allen and Brees Hall situation? Like I don't really know. So kind of a gamble there, but we'll see what happens. I am a big believer though in Jordan Addison. I'm just a little worried about McCarthy coming in and just stepping in. He's never played an NFL game in his life, so it's going to be a major step back for that team, I think. But they got Kevin O'Connell, so I'm really not too concerned.
All right, yeah, like you mentioned, I don't really have anything else to add. Like I said, just wanted to give Wade more or less a chance to defend himself with all the heat he caught from the rest of the league for making this move. It's always good to, and we'll do this a lot during the season when more trades are made, especially during our trade deadline, of just giving guys the opportunity to, defend the moves they made, or if they're not on the show, we'll have messages from them. So more or less giving their reasoning and stuff for that as well. Is the next deal that we have here pretty straight up. Wait, you get Jordan Addison and then you send him to Kruk.
I
Wait,
didn't
wait,
I didn't
wait.
I didn't bookmark the other half of this, but it was 2 seconds and a third is what it ended up being. But
Before
I
before you talk, can you please tell me that like you were just like doing something before
I was
accepting?
not I was not eligible to be answering that trade. We'll say that.
Okay.
That's what I thought.
But you know, you win some, you lose some.
And
And I
once
lost.
again, it's with Kruk. So
Yeah, that was a bad one. I was
yeah,
afraid
we could quickly move off that one.
Yeah, no, that,
I'm happy this is the next one because this is another one, Wade, where when our commissioner saw this trade, he was not thrilled. Uh, the deal of Swift, Williams, and a fourth going to yourself, you giving up a first, a second, and James Cook. JP, do you want to start with this deal or should we give it to Wade?
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't really have much to say beyond the fact that it was an absolute raping by the Hamburglar here. So I'm just kind of curious what Wade's vision was.
there's a lot of heat in my ear from JP McGuire before I made this trade. So that out of kind of just me going against his word, I kind of wanted to take this trade. I'm a big Jameson Williams guy. He's really young. The second I gave him is the last pick in the second. DeAndre Swift, I think, is going to be a solid dude with Caleb Williams. Yeah, I definitely probably messed up this trade, but
It's
I had
learning experiences, though, man.
it's experiences.
Yeah.
I haven't played a year in Dynasty yet, so I'm still learning the whole draft pick thing. But now that I've kind of been doing some research, I've felt like I've redeemed myself a little bit.
Yeah, and I will
Yeah,
say,
I think the big believer counters up to 3, and I think all 3 of those guys are actually no longer on your team. So, but yeah, we can go to the next one. This was actually a
Yeah.
redeeming trade. I really
Yeah.
like this trade.
it's probably because you made the trade with a very fine established guy in the league. I'll let you start this because we immediately got on the horn with swapping guys, and I said it earlier in the episode that I've been wanting Devonta Smith for quite some time, and finding out you're a Steelers fan, I can understand why Metcalf may have been a priority for you.
Yeah, I'm not real sure what to expect from DK. I think his floor is going to be still a very solid piece to my team, but it'll definitely help. It definitely helped to agree to that trade because I'll be able to root for a guy that I root for every Sunday,
Yeah,
especially with 2 picks. And I feel like DK is only 3 years older, maybe 4 years older than Devontae. I think he's got a couple years still left under him.
yeah. Honestly, I probably gave up too much here, or maybe I don't know. Maybe I should have tried keeping the fourth. I don't really care much about fourth round picks or picks in general. I mean, I'll learn about it in this league, that especially with the way drafts are going out. My
It's a
hit rate's
1 year
pretty
age
low.
difference. I thought it was more than that too. It's only a 1 year age difference.
Yeah,
26.
there you have it.
Devontae's
27 for Metcalf and 26 for Smith.
I think I was overly aggressive too. I've been wanting Devonta for a while. I went back when Drew had him, and it was funny because the guy Drew would always throw out was DK. So I'm sure the Beef had a reaction to this trade as well. But I like DK Metcalf. I like what he brings fantasy wise. Was a little up and down last year. My big thing with this trade was I still don't know who's throwing him the football this year. And for me, I was in the championship last year against JP. I'm trying to keep my team rolling. And I need to know, for the guy being my number 2 receiver, I want to know who's throwing him the football. I'm an impatient guy. And obviously, if Aaron Rodgers wants to play football this year, it appears it'll be for the Pittsburgh Steelers. We are 2 weeks from the NFL draft. That hasn't been decided yet. Pittsburgh holds the 21st pick in the first round. And, their guy from last year, Russell Wilson's off the market. Justin Fields is long gone. Not the question mark of who's throwing DK the football was enough of a reason for me to finally part ways with him. I really wanted to hold on to him for as long as I could. That contract, having the security in Pittsburgh is great as well, but I'm more or less defending why I wanted to move off him. But honestly, I'll shake your hand. Fair trade. I was more than happy with the result of this deal. Got the guy I wanted. Didn't give up too many assets. And
Kyle Allen throwing up the ball right now.
Kyle Allen's listed as the QB1.
Kyle Allen is QB1 at the moment. Yes.
I thought it was Mason Rudolph.
No, he is. I think. Did he come back?
Yeah, he came back, but he's not the listed QB1.
No,
it is
Kyle
Allen.
Unless there's an injury, neither one of those guys will be throwing the football to DK.
DT ESPN tweeted today Shedeur to Pittsburgh. Is there something we don't know?
How would you feel about that?
They just don't know. They just don't know it's Jalen Milroe time.
I'm a Bears fan. If we drafted Shedeur Sanders, I would be devastated.
Yeah, it's well said. I'd much rather have Jalen Milroe too.
I would.
Glad we're on the same page.
The Milroe to the Steelers has been the play that we're putting out here. We actually talked about this deal earlier on in the episode as well. You were able to get Breece Hall from Luke. Breece Hall has been a part of Bigsby's Bandits for quite some time, and this was a deal with a lot of picks moving around as well. And Jameson Williams, as JP mentioned, quickly moving off your squad after you got him that deal with Jake. But Wade, you bring in a premier running back in Breece Hall, who may or may not be a New York Jet at the start of this season.
Yeah, I brought in Breece Hall, stud. I'm not a believer in Jaleel McLaughlin. I'm really not. Felt like really the first for Breece and Jameson Williams. I love Jameson Williams, but will he break out, or will he have to move away from Detroit to break out because he's behind Amon-Ra, who's, let's be honest, the same age as him. And then I'm also getting 2 third-round picks with a Pittsburgh Steeler. It was kind of a no-brainer for me.
Yeah,
but I got a lot of heat from Mr. McGuire because I don't have any first-round picks.
Well, I would just remember before that trade was made, like an hour prior, we were talking in one of our group chats about how I was like, oh my God, Wade is perfectly set up. If he just like sucks this season, he owns 3 firsts and one of them being his own next year, like half the second and the third. I'm like, he's going to be back contending in 2027. I put my phone down and go to class for an hour. I open it back up. He no longer has a 2026 first, and half his roster is now on a different team.
I just think it's funny that every trade we open and he says he likes the person, he's gone immediately after.
The chain link effect.
Awesome.
It's one of those. I don't remember what it was, but there was like an NFL cliche where if like a coach told you something, like it almost meant for certain you were getting dealt in the next week, and that's Wade's. If he's a big believer, that means you're out of there.
So do we ever count him up? How many trades did you make, Wade, that one day? Was it 9? Was it 9 official trades?
It was 9. It was nine trades, which is I think broke the record by about 5 by one person.
I made 9 myself.
Yeah, you made 9 yourself.
Was that last Thursday?
It was his first official day in the league.
Yes.
Already coming in and making an impact. Wade.
I love it.
I in and grew up on that team. I'm happy with where I'm at right now. I am happy with where I'm at and what I saw at the beginning of the year and what I'm seeing now. I'm happy.
That's what matters.
Yeah, and you bring in Rico Dowdle, new spot for him out in Carolina. Not a big Chris Godwin guy, I see. He got a new contract in Tampa though, but he's getting up there in age, coming off a pretty bad leg injury. I just want to have you walk us through this one. You get Roman Wilson as well, who I drafted in the rookie draft last year, but then got Keenan Allen from him. He's a guy, and once again, I'm sensing a trend. You get Darnell Washington in the last trade, a young pass catcher on the Steelers. You get another one here in Wilson. Sure, you're just hoping that one of them can break through here with Wilson entering his second year.
Yeah, I think one of those two guys will definitely break through. It's easy. It's also easy to get a guy like Roman Wilson just thrown in because I can throw him on the taxi for another year. I was a big Rico guy, pretty biased because I had him in a couple of leagues last year. I know he's going to be competing with Chuba, but I don't know. I think I'm a big Rico guy. And Chris Godwin coming off a torn Achilles, with Mike Evans still on the other side, I don't know how I feel about him. Plus,
Yeah, this was one of those deals. I think I applauded Wade for this one. I actually didn't hate it. I'm in the same boat on. I don't really know how I feel about Godwin coming off the injury.
Yeah,
this deal being with the Henny God, being with Matt, him getting Godwin. Matt, one of our 3 expansion teams last year was the only one to make the playoffs, looking to get back to that point again. How many more trades do we got here, JP?
2. We got 2 more.
Two more.
How much?
Two quick ones. Too. This is one of my favorite ones.
Yeah, real quick. What's up, Beef?
How much did the Panthers give Dowdle? $5 million? Is that what they gave him?
One for 6.
Yeah, I was going to say it was a 1-year deal.
1 for 6.
Oh, perfect. Beef, I want to start with you here. You get yourself a quarterback in Stafford. Wade had acquired him earlier on in his tenure in this league, and you get a second-round pick as well. You send away Alec Pierce.
Hey, man, business is business. I had to get rid of him. I wanted to get back in the second round. I need a backup quarterback because, I don't know what's going to happen with Richardson. Heck, Danny Dimes could get that starting job. I don't know what's going to go on over there. So
I think he will get the starting job. My opinion.
We'll just see what happens. I don't know. But yeah, that's all I really got on here. Alec Pierce, I really do think he's a good piece. As you saw, Cameron Boyer knows Alec Pierce really well. He dropped 30. I think he dropped 28 on him to beat him. I beat him that week.
Yeah, in 2 drives he scored. That was when he went off for he went from 4 points to 28 in 2 drives.
I think that's probably the biggest crash out we've seen Cam Boyer of that season was probably that week, because I would probably be too. I think he had 2 75-yard touchdowns in a span of 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And they still lost by 14. So that was pretty funny. But yeah, I had some good memories with my boy Alec Pierce, and I'm sad I'm shipping him off, but it was for good reasons.
So yeah, I was pretty deep at the QB position. At this time I had Tua, Aaron Rodgers, Stafford, and Cousins. Looking at Stafford, he's an old guy. I'm a big Alec Pierce guy, so like you guys say, he might be gone soon. I'm also getting a second here. I'm getting a second for a third. So, I was really deep at the QB position, added a young Alec Pierce guy who I think has a pretty good ceiling, and then upgraded my draft pick.
You downgraded the draft pick here, Wade.
Yeah. That's what JP and I got into a big argument about this. JP and I got into a big argument about this, but when I said whenever it's 2028 and he's giving me 2 firsts for Alec Pierce, he'll be sorry.
All right. We got one more move. Then I want to run through your roster, Wade, where it stands now, because we've run through all these trades with everyone, but I'm sure by now people have gotten lost in the shuffle and don't know who's actually on your team up to this point. We do know that you have Deshaun Watson. You got him shipping out Kirk Cousins. You also got a 4th. Watson likely not going to play this year. Kirk could actually be on his way to Cleveland as well, joining Watson in that franchise. Just want to get your mindset, what you were thinking through this trade before we review your roster as it stands now.
I still think Deshaun Watson can play some football. He's still in his 20s, getting an extra draft pick. I think Kirk Cousins is done. I really do. From what I saw at the end of last year, the guy can't play football anymore. And I don't care if Deshaun Watson has to sit out another year. I got a draft pick. And like I said, I got Kirk Cousins. He was still on my bench. So I felt the guy that can't throw the football anymore. Might as well get something for him now before he's not worth anything.
Fair enough. This was a pretty straightforward deal. You get a throw-in 4th-round pick in 2027 as well. So you get that a few years down the line. Before we send everyone on our way, well, first of all, Wade, Gator Swamp, your team name. I want to get the reasoning behind that before we look at your roster.
So we used to always play it whenever I was at John A. For some reason, I had never gotten the name Gator until I got to college. Everybody just started calling me it for no reason. It started happening, and then we went. One of our courses that we would play all the time was Dalhousie in Southeast Missouri. They had a big sign that said Gator Swamp. So every single time we'd go there, they'd take a picture of my dumb ass right next to the sign. So every single year since then, it's been Gator Swamp brackets for fantasy football, fantasy basketball, fantasy baseball.
All right, Wade. Floor is yours now. After you let us, you gave us a little bit of an in as to the naming of Gator Swamp. Walk us through your squad right now. We know everyone kind of has an idea of who you have based on the trades, but you get lost a bit in the shuffle. So your starting lineup in front of us now.
I kind of wish we had a before and after here, but I felt like I really youthed up my team a little bit. Got some younger guys, got some young stars that I feel like have some high ceilings. I feel like I also added some depth. Only position I feel like I kind of peeled back on a little bit might have been the QB position, but all in all, I was pretty happy with what I had done. There was a couple of guys I even had to drop from the roster. Just kind of trying to even filling in the taxi squad just a little bit was kind of the key to me.
Lot of second, thirds there. I think I just counted 9 picks. So
Holy shit.
You got your work cut out for you, Gator, when we get you to the draft here, man. Like I said earlier, you got not only you're doing your homework, you're doing your homework on the sleepers in this draft. 9 total picks, man.
9 picks this year. Those picks are available for those that are watching.
So wait, I gotta ask you real quick, since you're drinking one, what's your favorite beverage? It's your go-to beverage.
Natural light.
Natty Light.
Natural light.
Okay.
All right.
That's what I did for Fat Panda last
Without a
year.
doubt.
I'm sure, Wade, you're
Yeah,
familiar with Fat Panda at this point. Our last place punishment.
Not really.
Oh boy. Oh boy, you're in for a treat then when Dade eventually has to do it at some point. That's another thing I want to address. We now have Wade and Dade in in the league. That'll be fun, man. Hey, you know what? We're looking forward to it. I know you're making your way up for the draft. We're looking forward to meeting you at the end of May, man. It'll be a good time. Thanks so much for joining the show, taking time out of your evening. And for all of you that are watching back at home, like, comment, subscribe. Here to the Just Beavin podcast. We will catch you guys next time.